Notre Dame versus Pat Narduzzi's Pitt. Pat Narduzzi says he doesn't care if he gets beat by 100, but FanDuel probably has that spread a little bit lower than 100. Joe, when you preview Notre Dame versus Pitt, what are your thoughts here?
Quick go roadie to Pat Narduzzi, and that's the only praise he's going to get in this preview. 11.5-point spread on FanDuel. Notre Dame is favored on the road at Acrisure, worst stadium name in all of professional sports, by the way. Like, look, this Pitt team has been fun. They have been an unexpected story because it has one of the most rare things that you can have happen in the sport. You bench a upperclassman quarterback who was great last year. You put in a true freshman in Mason Heintschel. And he's the reason for your offense playing completely differently, regaining momentum. This Pitt team has been on a run, but we have to contextualize that run. They have not exactly beaten up on a very tough schedule. They've accrued wins against the likes of Florida State and Stanford. It's not like Pitt has really had much of a true challenge to prove that they're worthy of where they sit at the top of the ACC standings. Now, they could end up going to the ACC championship game. They could end up winning it. To Narduzzi's point, if they get blown out by Notre Dame, it really does not affect anything. They just need to go to the ACC championship game. Blake, very simply, Notre Dame has every reason to win this game going up against a freshman quarterback who has shown mistakes that he has made by taking unnecessary risks. Mm-hmm. And also Desmond Reed, their best player on offense, being quite banged up.
Right.
I believe he's out. I don't know if there's clarity on that. I don't know if we get an update by the end of the week.
I thought he said in the press conference he might be out. Regardless,
I think he might be correct, but this is my whole point. Pitt is fun to talk about. They are not a challenge for this Notre Dame team, hence why they are an 11.5-point favorite on the road.
All right, I'm going to say something. You better, that secondary about to prove it. Because this team can throw the ball around. They're 10th in the country in passing yards. Now, the explosiveness of what they've shown, I agree with you with their key target being out. I'm with you. But, Joe, they still throw the ball around a lot. A lot. I agree with your assessment that this Notre Dame secondary has gotten better as the season has gone on with Chris Ash. I'm with you there. This team can get vertical on you quickly, though, brother. They can get quick. You better not blow assignments this week because this kid's going to find it. He's also going to turn the ball over. So you better capitalize on the mistakes that this true freshman's about to make. However, this team can get vertical. It only takes a couple of blown coverages for you to be in a complete dogfight. And I do wonder if there's been a team that Notre Dame has faced since A&M that could remotely put any pressure truly on this secondary. Now, you would say Arkansas, and I'm kind of with you there, but Arkansas also had already, from what we found out from Hunter Yurachek, before going into the game, we already knew that Sam Pittman had been fired. He was already told that he was going to be let go. I don't want to buy into that Notre Dame just didn't go into Arkansas and whip that candy ass. I want you to go back out there and prove that this secondary is getting better. Because I agree with you. I think that they have been. The question is the team that we've seen who's 10th in the country in passing yards, who loves to get vertical and will lull you to sleep, does Pitt, and then will get vertical on you, can you play your responsibilities? Can you be in the right spots when you need to be? And if you are, you're going to be completely fine because this team can't run the ball on you. I don't give two Rudy Poos what you tell me. Pitt is 100th in the country in rushing offense. They cannot run the ball on you. You're Notre Dame. You got to play your style of football, and you will be fine. I do want to see this secondary against the best passing attack that they've seen since A&M. Can they slow it down? And I think that they will. And I'm in agreement with you there. Here's another thing. I don't know what to make of this, but it's just the facts. I don't know if it's because Pitt hasn't played a team like Notre Dame that could put the pressure on them in their front. Joe, they're third in the country in run defense. They're only allowing 81 yards a game. So when I look at them on film, I say to myself, what do they do well? They don't jump off at the screen at you, but what do they do? Boy, do they play very well assignment football. Can the Heisman hopeful and Jeremiyah Love get moving here? I think that he will. I don't know what to make of this Pitt run defense. Is it legit? But the last time that you and I had this conversation about an ACC team that had a decent run defense, it was Louisville. And that game was Miami versus Louisville. We're like, oh, but Louisville really hadn't been tested. Not like what Miami's going to be able to do and test them. Is this Pitt defense for real? Now, their secondary has been leakier than a faucet that a plumber can't fix. But regardless in all of that, the two biggest things and questions going in this game for me for Notre Dame. Secondary, can you not blow assignments and stay tough? And is this rushing offense? Is this rushing offense that we know is physical and dominant going to show that Pitt is not the third best run defense in the country?
Okay, a couple things addressing those points that you brought up. Heintschel, I'm very impressed by, and I think that he has been fantastic for bringing life to this Pitt team, but he plays like a true freshman. I think that he is going to be a tremendous player. He's got 5 interceptions on the year. I was watching the Florida State game, and I saw a kid, which this is one of my biggest things with young quarterbacks. I didn't think he looked lost. I think a lot of quarterbacks, I think that a lot of quarterbacks have issues when they're young and they're first playing, that they're incredibly timid and they're afraid to take risks.
Okay, fair. That's what I was Go ahead.
I think that he's a kid that is willing to take chances to make plays. But the problem is he's too young to understand what he can and can't get away with. Right. I think that is a recipe for a disaster against this Notre Dame secondary that has improved, because if there's one thing that they do perform well in is taking advantage of risky throws. The reason why they got gashed against Miami and they got gashed against Texas A&M and even Purdue is that there were a lot of really good plays that were generated and a lot of wide open route concepts that were freely able to be connected on, but Notre Dame wasn't contesting.
Can Pitt do that? There's a reason they're third in the country in passing yards.
But I look at the way that they've produced a lot of their passing success, and I look at some of their biggest plays. It feels like he's taking shots and throwing into areas where there isn't really much room to create a play. I think that creates opportunities for Notre Dame to turn the ball over and to get points off of a short field. To your point, Pitt's front seven has been incredibly underrated. They are 5th in the country in EPA per rush allowed. They're not allowing a lot of teams to get going on the ground. Jeremiyah Love is going to be tested and is going to get a real chance to prove himself after his really electric season so far, as he's almost up to 1,000 yards. But here's the biggest thing, and I said this in the beginning of this segment. Like, who am I looking at is the context of who's really challenged Pitt? Because none of these teams have like any semblance of a run game that they played against. Louisville is probably the best team that they've gone up against in terms of what they could produce on the ground, and they held them to 53 rushing yards. West Virginia, who they lost to the week prior, who has a pretty solid running back room.
And that's the game that they changed quarterbacks, by the way.
Yeah, but they gave up 174 yards to what's now a very bad West Virginia team. Like, after that, they have played the likes of Florida State, Syracuse, NC State, Stanford. They're not exactly going toe-to-toe with many teams that have been able to present much of a challenge. And then the biggest part with this, too, is that Florida State was an example of an opponent that they had that does also run the ball well. They produced 170 yards on the ground. I think that their rushing success defensively has significantly been the result of empty calories that they've been able to chew up and spit out all these teams that don't really have the offensive lines and the run games to command a game the way that Notre Dame can. This is going to be a real test here. To
your point, Florida State's 11th in the country. I just looked at 11th in the country in rushing offense. Yeah. They have 226.7 yards per game rushing. They think Malzahn's the problem there, by the way. It's so stupid. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. I do wonder. Here's the thing, though. You keep saying about he makes risky throws. Christian Gray makes risky breaks on throws. And I'm like, listen, Joe, it only takes this kid to throw the ball a couple of times and Christian Gray or whoever to make the wrong read, and you're in a dogfight. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. Like, are you legit? Are you getting – let me back up. Is your secondary getting better? Is that legit? because I do think that they are. I do think that they have good players. Is it getting better will be my question. Here's the truth. I'm with you on the run game. I think they're going to run all over them. I do think Jeremiyah Love, he's not getting probably the pub that he needs. Probably does need to be considered in the Heisman Trophy conversation at the current moment. I don't think he wins it, but he does need to be in that conversation. Regardless of all of that, I think Notre Dame continues to roll here, and I think they're going to find a way. The only other thing I would say here about Pitt, Joe, they're sixth in the country in scoring offense. Scoring points with a true freshman against anybody is impressive. Can you slow this kid down? He gonna rifle that thing out there. He doesn't give a shit. So we'll see.
I think that ultimately
he doesn't care. Credit
for him. Credit for him for doing that. Their offensive line's been quite shaky. The Florida State game kind of showed that they've had issues protecting him. Boubacar Traore, KVA, this whole front group that has produced pressures on quarterbacks. I think that Notre Dame is going to find success getting after him. It's going to result in turnovers. Notre Dame's going to have a nice soft lead heading into the third quarter. They're going to slow the game down. Jeremiyah Love breaks off a long touchdown. CJ Carr looks fantastic, makes enough big throws to Malachi Fields and Jordan Faison. I think that this is get in there, get your work done, get out. I don't think this is going to be much of a challenge.
Just like Boston College.
Don't do that to me, man. Don't do that.
Okay. All right.